malware has infected critical infrastructure everywhere.
You've got to begin to think about what are the rules of war if, God forbid, you wind up with a cyber war.
Recent revelations regarding China's cyber activities have sent shockwaves through the U.S. security landscape in a shocking turn of events. A sophisticated group of hackers linked to the Chinese government has successfully infiltrated several major U.S. telecommunications companies over the past few months, raising urgent concerns about national security and the integrity of critical infrastructure. This class of cyber attack that sources believe was intended to obtain specific details related to U.S. national security has elicited a lot of concern among officials in Washington. Several credible sources have talked to CNN about the incident. The hackers may have gotten their hands on highly classified wiretap warrant requests that could be useful to foreign intelligence. However, at the moment, the U.S. authorities have yet to figure out what sort of data was leaked to the public from the breach.
Companies to get corporate secrets? Is it to spy on governments? What's the purpose?
Traditionally, what you've seen with China is accusations of espionage, trying to get hold of secrets, personal information which could be used, and intellectual property for commercial gain.
Among the telecommunications giants that are vulnerable to the hack are AT&T, Verizon, and Lumen, which offer internet and phone services throughout the United States. These firms process massive calls and internet data occasions, telephone call logs, and other personal information, most of which may be acquired by the U.S. police through legal warrants for use in criminal and national security action. This huge source of information would be attractive to foreign governments, especially Beijing, which has been accused of rampant cyber espionage in the past. Due to this discovery, U.S. officials have growing concerns over possible compromise to national security. This attack is only a recent episode of a series of complex cyber operations allegedly conducted by China that have hit various branches of the U.S. administration and major corporations. The hacking incident pressured the complex relations between Washington and Beijing, as two major world powers were fighting for cyber spying, trade, and other critical global issues.
There's an element in which this started off as espionage, which is pretty much traditional, and which all countries do, and Russia's been accused of it recently with SolarWinds, but certainly the US, the UK, and others also carry out espionage.
Notably, this breach was widely noted by the major cybersecurity companies. Experts from Microsoft and Mandiant, a Google company that deals with cybersecurity, have been hired by the police in the United States to investigate the source of the attack and determine the extent of the impact. Their technical knowledge points to the very real and complex nature of the threat, which includes sophisticated hacking methods aimed at some of the most secure networks in the United States. However, the representatives of AT&T and Lumen did not want to comment on the given case, and Verizon failed to react to several requests for a statement on the matter. In addition, the FBI and the Justice Department have not released any statements on the incident, meaning that many people thought it was very serious and that its effects could be severe. However, the Chinese embassy in Washington, D.C. has dismissed the allegations, stating that the U.S. is misrepresenting facts and politicizing cybersecurity to pressure China.
Was looking at ways to disrupt critical communications between US and Asia. China's foreign ministry has dismissed the claims accusing the US of initiating a disinformation.
This case has drawn substantial interest in Capitol Hill. The U.S. officials presented House and Senate Intelligence Committee members. Their participation was greatly facilitated by American telecommunications companies, which are key players in the American communication landscape, were engaged in the act, apparently aiming for law enforcement and national security data, making this a major national security threat. The breach was first reported by the Wall Street Journal and showcased the technical prowess of the current cyber attackers and the complexity and sophistication of the global cyber espionage taking place in the present world. Sources familiar with some of the investigations surrounding the recent cyber attacks claim that the hackers involved have demonstrated tremendous proficiency and the capacity to penetrate very deeply into computer networks. The Chinese hacking group responsible, identified within the cybersecurity community as Salt Typhoon, has gained notoriety for its advanced techniques. A Microsoft spokesperson told CNN, "We track Salt Typhoon and have observed activity that aligns with the recent reports. When identifying nation-state activities, we provide relevant information to our customers for investigation." However, Salt Typhoon is just one of many hacking teams that the Chinese government can deploy for espionage or cyber disruptions. U.S. officials and private cybersecurity experts have warned. FBI Director Christopher Wray highlighted the overwhelming scale of the threat, stating that Chinese government-backed hackers outnumber FBI cyber personnel by a striking ratio of 50-1. Another Chinese-backed hacking group has been secretly embedded within U.S. transportation and communication networks, positioning themselves to potentially disrupt critical infrastructure if the U.S. were to respond militarily to a possible Chinese invasion of Taiwan, according to U.S. officials. In yet another alarming case, a different Chinese hacking group breached the unclassified email accounts of senior U.S. diplomats last year, just ahead of Secretary of State Antony Blinken's high-profile visit to China.
Yeah, Errol, we know it was carried out by a group of Chinese cyber spies, a state-sponsored group of hackers, and this one has a nickname.
This breach, reported by CNN, underscores China's capability to target high-level communications at critical moments. As the U.S. government has elaborated on specific charges concerning hacking performed by China, the last has tried to change the focus, trying to accuse the U.S. of conducting cyber attacks on Chinese targets. It has become a familiar narrative of hacking accusations and cyber operations in diplomatic talks between the two countries. The U.S.-China relationship has further soured, with cybersecurity being a contentious issue and hacking being commonly used during talks. In a reunion with Biden in California last year, Xi Jinping, the Chinese president, promised the U.S. president that China would not meddle in the 2024 U.S. presidential election, as reported by CNN.
Know the value of voting Democratic when our votes count. It's important that you save your vote for the November election. We'll need your help in electing Democrats up and down the ticket. Voting this Tuesday only enables the Republicans in their quest to elect Donald Trump again.
This statement came at a time when there was anxiety about the safety of the conduct of elections and the meddling of foreign cyber in the elections of the United States, making the statements a new facet in the continuing talks between the two powers. The intricate web of Chinese hacking activities, from spying on transportation networks to accessing sensitive diplomatic communications, coupled with growing public scrutiny, reveals how deeply cyber warfare has become intertwined with the geopolitical rivalry between Washington and Beijing. The question remains, what critical targets are they after, and how deep does their cyber espionage go? U.S. intelligence officials regularly seek court approval to tap into telecom systems, like those compromised in the recent breach, for collecting data in law enforcement or national security investigations.
Chinese cyber criminals looking over the shoulder, ongoing national security investigations.
According to a U.S. official who spoke with CBS News, the China-backed hackers specifically targeted U.S. surveillance systems used in operations such as wiretaps. Now, investigators are working to assess just how deeply the Chinese hackers penetrated these networks.
According to Microsoft, that are targeted by this Chinese hacking group. They include construction, education, government, IT, manufacturing, maritime, telecom, transport, and utility.
One concern is that these cyber attacks could have provided the hackers with large amounts of data on current investigations that the U.S. is conducting, including ones against China.
Now that is, of course, a nightmare worst-case scenario. U.S. officials working very hard to figure out just what information these Chinese cyber criminals have stolen and how deep this hack goes.
Therefore, this hacker may have gained knowledge of classified techniques and data collection mechanisms, raising concerns over the revelation of crucial U.S. surveillance mechanisms.
States that are targeting critical infrastructure, electric, water, pipelines, you name it.
In response to the reported telecom hack, Senator Ron Wyden, a Democrat from Oregon, called on the Justice Department and the Federal Communications Commission, FCC, to implement mandatory standardized security measures for telecom companies' wiretapping systems. In a letter addressed to FCC Chair Jessica Rosenworcel and Attorney General Merrick Garland, Wyden expressed his concern. The recently reported breach of U.S. telecommunications companies' wiretapping systems should be a significant wake-up call for the government, their systems, and to disclose data breaches to Congress, investigative bodies, and the public. Wyden also insisted that the government should focus on keeping corporations answerable for their inadequate cybersecurity rather than prosecuting foreign hackers, as most of the time, the latter remain unpunished. His call to action speaks volumes about the need for enhanced ways of safeguarding national security and infrastructure in the ever-connected, green but highly vulnerable cyberspace. What do you think about Senator Ron Wyden's idea that the government should hold corporations accountable for weak cybersecurity, rather than just focusing on prosecuting foreign hackers? Current FBI Director Christopher Wray and other high-ranking American officials have stressed the increasingly active Chinese cyber threats in recent years. In January, Wray testified to Congress that Chinese government-sponsored cyber actors have recently penetrated key U.S. infrastructure, water facilities, and electrical grids in particular, to prepare themselves to carry out havoc and inflict real-life harm on the American people. Earlier this year, the CISA came out with a public advisory stating that Chinese state-backed actors are mapping the IT networks of critical U.S. infrastructure for disruptive and destructive cyber operations in the event of a Sino-U.S. conflict. The Justice Department has also indicated that China is planning how to steal sensitive technological information from the U.S. to promote its homegrown technologies. CBS News reported that a Chinese state-sponsored hacking group known as APT-41 engaged in a multi-year cyber heist, stealing trillions of dollars worth of intellectual property from around 30 multinational firms operating in the pharmaceuticals, energy, and manufacturing industries. This massive data theft involved companies located in North America, Europe, and Asia, and it involved essential data that China used to enhance its technology. Joining the list of performed cyber espionage operations, a new cyber campaign, Operation Cuckoos, was uncovered by Boston-based CyberEason and was seen stealing hundreds of gigabytes of proprietary and intellectual property data. Some stolen information concerns blueprints, diagrams, formulas, and other manufacturing-related data from North America, Europe, and Asia firms. CyberEason CEO Lior Div told CBS News that the data targeted included blueprints of military technology, such as fighter jets, helicopters, and missiles, as well as pharmaceutical intellectual property related to drugs for conditions like diabetes, obesity, and depression.
And if you think that is a risk somewhere in the future, think again. Just 2 weeks ago, the Russian cyber criminals killing.
Disturbingly, much of this technology was cutting edge and yet to be patented, giving the hackers a significant advantage. The campaign has also extended its reach into the energy sector, stealing designs for solar panel technology and edge vacuum systems used in large-scale manufacturing. Div pointed out the significance of these intrusions, highlighting that this is specialized technology crucial for industrial-scale production, far beyond what an average individual would use at home. Despite efforts to counteract these breaches, the campaign is ongoing, reflecting China-backed cyber espionage's persistent and aggressive nature. The CyberEason report does not disclose which companies were explicitly affected by the massive cyber espionage campaign, but it revealed that the operation had been running undetected since early 2019. APT-41, also known as Winty, Barium, and Blackfly, a prolific Chinese state-sponsored hacking group, collected a wide array of sensitive information that could potentially be leveraged for future cyber attacks or extortion campaigns. This data included details about companies' business units, network architectures, user accounts and credentials, employee emails, and customer data. The group's access extended deeply into networks, allowing them to exfiltrate valuable engineering data, including rocket-propelled weapon technology, enabling duplication and reconstruction of sophisticated systems. CyberEason uncovered the campaign in April 2021 after a company reported a potential intrusion during a business pitch with the cybersecurity firm. Analysts reverse-engineered the attack, tracing each step the hackers took and revealing that APT-41 had maintained full undetected access to the targeted networks. This access allowed the hackers to steal critical engineering information to replicate complex technologies, such as missile systems. According to CyberEason CEO Lior Div, recreating a missile requires the precise theft of hundreds of data points, which APT-41 had successfully obtained.
Quite alarming if you like the color red, which I have worn tonight to show in solidarity with our researchers here in this country. They are trying to put out a warning to the public.
APT-41, notorious for espionage and financially motivated attacks, has a history of aligning its activities with China's 5-year economic development plans. This campaign, Operation Cuckoo Bees, is another example of the group's capability to siphon off critical intellectual property and business information from international targets. In May 2021, the U.S. Department of Justice charged 4 Chinese nationals linked to APT-41 for their involvement in a global computer intrusion campaign targeting intellectual property and sensitive business information. The FBI estimated that intellectual property theft, counterfeit goods, and pirated software cost the U.S. economy between $225 billion and $600 billion annually. However, CyberEason researchers suggest that the economic impact of Operation Cuckoo Bees could be much higher due to the sophistication and long-term consequences of these attacks, mainly as they target the building blocks of research and development in key industries like pharmaceuticals, energy, and defense. Lior Div emphasized that the entire economic toll of these breaches may not be fully realized for 5 to 10 years, when industries could find themselves trailing behind China in technological advancements, despite having had an advantage in resources and expertise. Cybersecurity firms like ESET Research have documented APT-41's efforts to infiltrate supply chains. In August 2019, Mandiant released a detailed report on the group's evolving tactics and specific criminal actors, further highlighting the ongoing threat posed by this sophisticated hacking group. According to CyberEason's report, the APT-41 group, a notorious Chinese state-backed hacking unit, utilized a sophisticated arsenal of malware, including well-known and previously undocumented exploits, to breach targeted systems. The attack strategy featured digitally signed kernel-level rootkits and a complex multi-stage infection chain composed of 6 stages, allowing the hackers to gain unauthorized control of computer networks while remaining undetected for extended periods. This intricate approach enabled the group to siphon off massive amounts of sensitive data from various industries over the years. The FBI has repeatedly highlighted China's level of cybersecurity threat. At the McCain Institute, an FBI director, Christopher Wray, said that China is the country that runs the most extensive hacking operation globally, ahead of all other countries.
This is a collective disinformation campaign of the Five Eyes coalition countries by the U.S. for geopolitical purposes.
The U.S. president reiterated that China is America's main rival and continues to practice the theft of technology and intellectual property from different countries. Another challenge the FBI encounters is the fight against China's elaborate cyber spying campaign, with any new counterintelligence operation opening against China every 12 hours. Wray noted that the IT army of thousands of government-controlled hackers was active ahead of China's major cities, where they steal from their respective targets' networks and trade secrets. Such actions are not isolated. They are part of a growing wave of unlawful business practices captured in the operation of the U.S. Trade Representative's most recent annual report. A major cyberspace operation by China was witnessed last year when the U.S. government accused China's state-backed hackers of breaching Microsoft Exchange servers globally. Like any other attack, this informed the world how the Chinese Communist Party was eager to steal American technology and ideas to help China's financial and military goals. Wray also mentioned that the Chinese government spends a lot of money on and arms its cyber units, so that they can maintain consistent and escalating harassment of companies, as well as the government in the United States. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos. Thank you.